will affect you again. Life is unpredictable. There will always be situations that challenge us, people who test our patience, and events that seem unfair. But if there is one undeniable truth, it is this: you have control over how you respond. Nobody and nothing can affect you unless you allow it. This is not just an abstract idea. It is a fundamental principle that, once understood, will free you from the emotional grip of the outside world. Think about the last time someone made you angry. Maybe it was a rude comment, an unfair criticism, or a betrayal. The instinctive reaction is to feel wronged, to respond with frustration, to let that situation dictate your emotions. But ask yourself, was it the event itself that caused your anger, or was it your interpretation of the event? Was it truly the words spoken, or was it the meaning you assigned to them? Because the truth is, nothing has power over your emotions unless you hand that power away. Now, this does not mean that we should become emotionless, indifferent to the world around us. That is not strength, that is avoidance. What it means is that we must develop the ability to step back, to create space between stimulus and response. The moment you are able to do that, you stop being a puppet to the circumstances of life. You stop being a person who is controlled by external forces. And instead, you become the one in control. Imagine you are walking down the street and someone insults you. In that moment, you have a choice. You can take the insult personally, let it ruin your day, replay it in your mind, allow it to fester, or you can recognize that the insult is just words coming from another person, someone whose perception of you is not your responsibility. You can recognize that their words only have weight if you choose to carry them. And so you walk on, unaffected, not because you are suppressing emotion, but because you understand that their words do not define you. This is not about denying reality or pretending that life is easy. Pain is real, injustice is real, but the question is, do you allow these things to consume you, or do you decide that no matter what happens, you will not be shaken? Because that is a choice to build resilience, to cultivate a mindset that is unshakable, to become the kind of person who remains firm in the face of chaos. Some people spend their lives being blown around like leaves in the wind at the mercy of every insult, every inconvenience, every perceived slight. But that is no way to live. That is a life of reactivity, of emotional slavery. The moment you allow someone else's words or actions to dictate your mood, you are handing them control over you. Why would you give that power away so freely? Why would you let a stranger on the internet or a coworker who had a bad day determine whether or not you feel at peace? There is great strength in realizing that you are the gatekeeper of your mind. You decide what enters and what does not. You decide which battles are worth fighting and which are not. And most importantly, you decide whether or not you will let the external world dictate your internal state. Now, some may say, well, that sounds great in theory, but what about when something truly terrible happens? What about real loss, real betrayal, real hardship? The answer remains the same: control what you can and let go of what you cannot. You will experience pain, but you do not have to let that pain turn into suffering. You will face injustice, but you do not have to let that injustice define you. What matters is not the event itself, but what you do with it. Do you let it make you bitter, or do you let it make you stronger? Do you let it break you, or do you let it teach you? Every challenge, every hardship, every insult carries with it an opportunity to react blindly or to respond with wisdom. This is where true freedom lies, not in controlling the world, because that is impossible, not in changing every person around you, because that is exhausting and futile, but in mastering yourself, in refusing to let the small things steal your peace, in deciding once and for all that nothing outside of you has the authority to dictate how you feel inside. And once you truly understand this, once you live by it, then and only then will nobody and nothing affect you again. The way you see the world determines how you experience it. This is not a small observation. It is the foundation of your entire reality, because nothing in life has inherent meaning until you assign it one. An event happens, a person speaks, a situation unfolds, and in that moment you decide, often without realizing it, whether this thing will affect you, how much power you will give it, and what kind of role it will play in your life. Now, most people go through life assuming that the way they see